Well, folks, Europe just detonated. Europe just detonated. And whether you call it panic, revolt, or political meltdown, one thing is undeniable. What we're witnessing right now, this is the most dramatic clash between globalist power and patriot resistance that Europe has seen in decades. Because in a single 24-hour window, the United States Congress just rebuked President Donald J. Trump's Europe strategy, openly siding with Brussels and pushing through a defense bill that strengthens the very institutions that Trump has been trying to dismantle. And the reaction across Europe, it is absolute chaos. Patriots are erupting in the streets and online. They're calling this the final straw. The moment that masks came off and the battle lines were drawn, folks, Germany is breaking from America and the EU is scrambling for emergency integration. Poland and Hungary, they're signaling that they will not comply. And Brussels is begging for more power while pretending everything is under control. But the people aren't buying it. Not anymore, guys, because this isn't just a policy dispute. This is a civilization collision. Trump's sovereignty movement on one side, meanwhile, the EU's collapsing globalist project on the other, and a rising wave of European patriots saying, look, enough. Well, tonight, we're breaking down exactly what really happened, why Europe is tearing itself apart, and how this congressional rebuke just ignited the biggest populist firestorm of the decade. Hit the like button and subscribe. Well, folks, let's just say that Europe just entered a moment that it can no longer outrun. With President Trump back in the White House and unapologetically reinstating America first across every diplomatic channel, Europe finds itself staring into a mirror that it really hasn't dared look into for years. Populism isn't just simmering anymore. This thing is erupting in France, Austria, Italy, Germany, even the Netherlands. And for the first time in decades, the question isn't abstract. It's not academic. It is immediate. Whose vision of Europe survives this collision? Now, on the one side, you got nationalist movements that are rising with unprecedented force, fueled by cultural anxiety, economic frustration, and a belief that Brussels has smothered the identity of entire nations. But on the other side, you have a European Union that is desperate to maintain control, frantically tightening its grip as Trump's foreign policy makes neutrality impossible. Well, Europe has to choose sovereignty or supranationalism, and the pressure is now unbearable. And then came the shockwave. In Washington, while Trump pushes a strategy that demands Europe stand on its own 2 feet, the U.S. House of Representatives, packed with establishment figures, terrified of breaking old alliances, God forbid, passed this massive defense package that props up the EU and directly contradicts Trump's plan. Overnight, Europe watched America speak with two voices, the president saying sovereignty first, and Congress saying protect Brussels at all costs. And the reaction across European capitals, confusion, panic, humiliation. Leaders in Berlin, Paris, and Brussels, they believed Trump's return would fracture the EU, but they never expected the Congress to hand them a lifeline. And so now European elites are feeling emboldened, while European patriots feel completely betrayed. If Washington is divided, what does that mean for Europe's future? And who is actually shaping America's foreign policy, the president or the establishment? And now across Europe, the reaction from ordinary Americans, the workers, the farmers, the forgotten middle class, it was immediate and volcanic. Patriots saw the U.S. House vote not as diplomacy, not as strategy, but a direct attack on their push for sovereignty. Now, for months, movements in Italy, Poland, Hungary, and even Germany have been demanding a return to borders, culture, and national identity. Then suddenly, Congress swoops in and fortifies the very bureaucratic machine that these patriots have been fighting to tear down from day one. Now, to them, this wasn't America helping Europe. This was America propping up Brussels, the symbol of elite rule, uncontrolled migration, and suffocating centralization. European patriots felt abandoned by an America they believe was finally turning toward nationalism under Trump. But instead, the House revived Europe's globalist establishment, and that betrayal right there has become fuel, spreading through Europe like wildfire. And while all of this is happening overseas, real people right here at home are getting hit with surprises too. The kind that don't make headlines, but absolutely break a family's month. Look, a viewer told me about her mom who went in for a simple test. Her Medicare plan paid for the appointment, but not the test itself. The bill? $314. She called her daughter in tears. And this is exactly why I partner with Chapter. They find those uncovered tests before they become bills that blindside you. They go line by line through your Medicare coverage for free for the Ron Yates community. And that way you're not left guessing what's included and what's not. Now, most people, they're already dialing the phone number at the bottom of your screen right there, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron, because it just makes sense to protect yourself before those surprises land land in your mailbox. And speaking of experiences, I just want to highlight a really thoughtful message from Cindy Jackson. So she said, "Thank you for all your information. I appreciate hearing about the latest developments in Social Security. Also found that chapter is as helpful as you said. I'm pretty knowledgeable about insurance, but I had a wonderful conversation with a chapter representative recently. She made me so much more confident the choice I was leaning toward and made me feel better that I wasn't missing anything in the fine print of the insurance company." Well, Cindy, I just want to say thank you so much for your comment. It's just really powerful hearing how chapter helped confirm that you weren't missing anything in the fine print, because this is exactly where people get caught off guard. So anyway, thank you so much for sharing your story. Now, Germany's response, this was the real shock. So instead of celebrating Congress's vote, Berlin seized the moment to announce something that was far more explosive. Europe must break from American security dependence. Germany declared that it's time for the EU to build its own military capability, its own command structure, its own geopolitical identity, separate from Washington. Now, this wasn't just a policy disagreement. This was clearly a strategic divorce filing. Now, Berlin framed this as a matter of survival. If America can change direction with every election, from globalists under Biden to nationalists under Trump, then Europe, they argue, they can no longer rely on the United States as a stable protector. But here's a twist, guys. Germany isn't doing this out of strength. It's doing it out of fear, out of desperation. Europe is fracturing internally. Meanwhile, they're trying to stand up to Trump externally, and the cracks are widening. So Brussels reacted exactly how you would expect a cornered bureaucracy to react, with panic disguised as confidence. Within hours of the United States House vote, EU officials, they launched an emergency integration framework, basically claiming that Europe is now too vulnerable to survive without deeper political and military unification. In other words, more power for Brussels, less sovereignty for the nations that are beneath it. They frame this thing as strength, but patriots across the continent, they saw it for what it really was: a terrified elite rushing to consolidate authority before the populist wave overtakes them. Brussels insisted that the answer to instability is centralization. But every nation that's being asked to surrender more control, they already know the truth, that Europe is not integrating out of vision, it's integrating out of fear. The globalist project is wobbling, and the House vote offered temporary oxygen, but the ground beneath Brussels is still cracking. So while Brussels tightens its grip, three nations, Poland, Hungary, and Italy, are moving in the exact opposite direction. Now, these countries, already spotlighted in a leaked Trump strategy as the ideological anchors of European sovereignty, immediately signaled that they would not support deeper EU integration. Their leaders framed the House vote as proof globalists are scrambling, and patriots must push even harder. In Poland and Hungary, crowds gathered outside parliament buildings demanding a referendum on EU authority. Now, in Italy, right-wing coalitions are openly discussing limiting Brussels' jurisdiction over migration and economic policy. Now, this breakaway bloc, this has become the beating heart of the populist movement, a direct challenge to the EU's vision of centralized control. Now, to millions of Europeans, these nations represent hope. To Brussels, they represent the beginning of the end. And the rebellion, well, let's just say that it's spreading faster than anyone had expected. Now, before this whole political earthquake even hit, something else had already been building pressure beneath Europe's surface: the working class revolt. And nothing captured that fury better than the viral Stop the Boats satire. This is a video that was meant to be a comedy, but it really embraced a brutal documentary of modern Europe. A working man paying taxes while migrants receive free hotels, farmers crushed by supermarket chains, welfare lifers treated better than citizens who actually built this country. This video didn't just go viral. It diagnosed Europe's sickness in 90 seconds. It exposed the cultural and economic humiliation that millions feel every single day. And now, with Congress strengthening the EU bureaucracy and Brussels pushing forced integration, the anger reflected in that video, it's intensifying. So Europe's political class completely dismissed the clip as exaggeration, but the people on the ground, the boots on the ground, they saw the truth, unfiltered, unpolished, undeniable. And today's crisis proves just that. The forgotten man is done being forgotten. Then came the leak, the draft of Trump's Make Europe Great Again strategy, a document outlining in plain English, in plain language, what many suspected. Trump's administration intends to strengthen nationalism in Europe, empower sovereignty movements, and loosen Brussels' iron grip over member states. It calls for supporting traditional culture, reinforcing national identity, and encouraging Europe's nations to reclaim the authority that globalism hollowed out. Now, Brussels didn't just dislike it, they panicked. Because this wasn't a policy memo, this was a blueprint for dismantling the EU's centralized power structure. And the US House vote? Patriots saw it as a coordinated attempt to block this strategy, to shield Brussels from the nationalist momentum that Trump's return ignited. The leak ignited hope for millions and fear for the elites who now feel that the ground is shifting beneath them. Europe is not just debating sovereignty, it's fighting over its soul. Now, across Europe, patriots are calling out what they see as the EU's greatest deception. This was never about protection. It was always about power. Brussels claims deeper integration is the only way to defend Europe in a dangerous world. But patriots are arguing that the time reveals everything. If the EU really cared about security, then why wait until now? After the House vote, after the Trump leak, after the Trump strategy leak, after populism erupted? To real patriots, the answer is obvious. Europe's leaders, they feel like their authority is slipping. They see nations like Hungary, Poland, and Italy drifting away. They see their political monopoly collapsing. And so, well, they're trying to force the continent into obedience before the rebellion spreads even further. So what Brussels call unity, patriots call centralized control. What EU officials frame as stability, patriots are seeing as desperation. And nothing unifies a populist movement faster than watching elites grasp for power that they no longer deserve. But the deepest shock of all didn't come from Brussels. It came from Washington. Europe all of a sudden realized that America under President Trump is no longer the unconditional shield that it once thought it was. Now, for decades, European leaders built their entire security doctrine around U.S. protection. NATO thought that they could handle the threats. America would end up paying the bills. Europe could moralize while the U.S. handled the heavy lifting. Not anymore. So Trump's new strategy demands that Europe stand on its own 2 feet, militarily, financially, and culturally. And when Congress pushed a bill supporting the EU, instead of calming tensions, it only highlighted the divide inside the United States itself. Europe is now forced into a rather terrifying question. If America is divided, who protects Europe? Who leads Europe? Now, for the first time in modern history, the continent must face the world without assuming America will catch it when it falls. And so underneath every headline, every vote, every protest sign, there's a deeper story that's unfolding, a civilization story. European patriots aren't just fighting taxes, migrant hotels, or bureaucratic overreach. They believe that they're fighting for survival of their identity. And whether you agree with that or not, their belief is reshaping Europe. The original transcript described this perfectly, a world where populism isn't just political, it's cultural, economic, spiritual. People feel their traditions slipping, their borders dissolving, their voices ignored. This crisis isn't rooted in policy disputes, it's rooted in the sense that an entire civilization has been put on autopilot by elites who don't share the same values of the people that they govern. And every time Brussels tightens control, every time Washington undermines sovereignty movements, that crisis deepens. So this isn't left versus right anymore. This is people versus institutions, identity versus erasure, survival versus submission. And this is why the revolt keeps growing. And so what happens now, right? Well, Europe is entering this phase that historians are going to talk about for generations. The EU is desperately trying to centralize power before the populist wave becomes unstoppable. Germany, they're seeking a break from American dependency. Poland, Hungary, Italy, they are openly challenging the EU's authority. And European patriots, emboldened by Trump's return and infuriated by Congress's rebuke, believe this. They truly believe that this is their moment to reclaim the continent. Now, if this momentum continues, Europe could soon face its most significant political realignment since the end of the Cold War. New alliances, new power structures, new definitions of sovereignty, a Europe where the people, not the bureaucrats, write the rules. But the elites, they're not going to give up quietly. This is only the beginning of a continent-wide confrontation, and the next moves from Washington, Berlin, and Brussels, that will determine whether Europe stabilizes or completely erupts.